The Millionaire's hut, the golden afternoon light filtered through the silk curtains of the nursery, casting a warm glow across the pink walls of little Emma's room. James Morrison stood in the doorway, his expensive suit wrinkled from a long day of business meetings, watching as his 6-month-old daughter slept peacefully in her crib. For the past 3 months, Sarah had been Emma's nanny. She was 24, fresh out of college, with gentle hands and an even gentler heart. James had hired her not just for her credentials, but for the way she looked at Emma as if his daughter was the most precious thing in the world. James was a successful tech entrepreneur. His company had made him millions before he turned 30, but all the money in the world couldn't fill the emptiness that had consumed him since his wife, Rebecca, died in childbirth. Emma was all he had left of the woman he'd loved with every fiber of his being. Most nights, James worked late in his home office, trying to lose himself in spreadsheets and conference calls. The house felt too big, too quiet, even with Emma's occasional cries echoing through the halls. It was Sarah who brought life back into these walls. Her soft humming while she fed Emma, her quiet laughter when the baby grabbed at her blonde hair, her gentle voice reading bedtime stories long after Emma had fallen asleep. Tonight was different though. James had finished his work early and decided to check on Emma before heading to bed. As he approached the nursery, he expected to find Sarah in the guest room down the hall, the room he'd specifically prepared for her with a comfortable bed, private bathroom and small sitting area. Instead, he found her curled up on the hardwood floor beside Emma's crib. She was lying on a thin blanket she must have brought from home, using a small pillow that looked like it had seen better days. Her long hair spilled across the makeshift bed, and even in sleep, one of her hands remained stretched toward the crib, as if she needed to be ready to comfort Emma at a moment's notice. James stood frozen in the doorway. His first instinct was confusion. Why wasn't she in the guest room? He'd made sure it was comfortable, even buying new linens and a memory foam mattress. Then confusion gave way to something deeper, recognition of dedication that went far beyond a paycheck. He remembered his conversation with Sarah during her interview. She'd mentioned student loans, helping support her younger brother through college, and how much this job meant to her. But she'd never complained, never asked for advances on her salary, never showed any sign that money was tight. James quietly backed away from the nursery and walked to his study. He sat in his leather chair, staring out at the city lights below, thinking about the woman sleeping on his nursery floor. Sarah worked 14-hour days without complaint. She sang to Emma when she was fussy, read to her from children's books with voices for each character, and somehow managed to make his daughter smile even during her most difficult moments. More than that, Sarah had brought something back to this house that James thought was lost forever. Warmth. Not just for Emma, but for him too. The way she'd leave his coffee just the way he liked it on mornings when he was rushing to early meetings. How she'd update him throughout the day with pictures of Emma's milestones, her first attempt at rolling over. The way she'd discovered her own feet, her delighted giggles during bath time. James had been so focused on his grief, so wrapped up in his work, that he'd almost missed it. Sarah wasn't just taking care of Emma, she was rebuilding their home, one small gesture at a time. He picked up his phone and made several calls to his assistant, to a furniture store, to his lawyer. The next morning, Sarah woke to the sound of delivery trucks outside. She quickly folded her blanket and pillow, storing them in the closet before Emma stirred. But when she went downstairs to prepare Emma's morning bottle, she found James sitting at the kitchen table with coffee and breakfast waiting. "Good morning, Sarah," he said, his voice softer than usual. "Could we talk for a moment?" Sarah's heart sank. Had she done something wrong? Was he letting her go? She'd tried so hard to be perfect, to give Emma everything she needed. "I know about the nursery floor," James said gently, seeing the panic in her eyes. "And before you explain, I want you to know that you're not in trouble. But I need to ask why. Aren't you using the guest room?" Sarah's cheeks flushed pink. I wanted to be close to Emma, in case she needed anything during the night. "The guest room is wonderful, Mr. Morrison, truly. But Emma sometimes has nightmares, and when she wakes up scared, I want to be right there." James felt his chest tighten. Even Rebecca, Emma's own mother, had planned to use a monitor and sleep in their master bedroom. But Sarah, who wasn't even family, was willing to sleep on a hard floor just to be closer to his daughter. "There's something else," Sarah continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "The guest room is so beautiful, so expensive. I was afraid I might damage something. I know how much this house means to you." "And Sarah," James interrupted, standing up from the table. "Follow me." He led her upstairs to the guest room and opened the door. Inside, where there had once been a simple bedroom, was now a complete suite. A larger, more comfortable bed, a small kitchenette, a sitting area with a window overlooking the garden, and most importantly, a state-of-the-art baby monitor system with screens that would let her see Emma from every angle. "But there's more," James said, pulling an envelope from his jacket pocket. "This is a new contract, a significant raise, and a college fund contribution for your brother. Because, Sarah, you're not just Emma's nanny. You're part of our family, and family doesn't sleep on floors." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Morrison, I can't accept James," he corrected. "And yes, you can. Because you've given us something priceless. You've made this house a home again." As if on cue, Emma's gentle cries came through the new monitor system. Sarah looked at the screen and smiled at the sight of the baby stretching and yawning in her crib. "She's awake," Sarah said, wiping away her tears. "Then let's go get our girl," James replied, and for the first time in months, the word "our" felt exactly right. Together, they walked down the hall toward the nursery, toward the soft pink room where Emma waited, ready to start another day surrounded by the people who loved her most. In the end, James realized the most valuable things couldn't be bought. They had to be recognized, cherished, and protected. And sometimes, they came in the form of a young woman who loved his daughter enough to sleep on a hard floor, just to be close enough to chase away her nightmares.